Welcome to the Spotlight by CG Ruthless, man. My special guest from Florida Atlantic University, defensive back, Kahzir Bugs Brown, man. How's it going?
I'm doing good. How you doing? Appreciate you for having me.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing so well, man. I'm pumped up, man. And a Florida guy from a good college, man. So I got to say, bro, you went to, for those people who are not familiar with you, man, you got a pretty good nickname, Bugs, man. Is it just based by the cartoon Bugs Bunny?
Yeah, just it's just simply off that, yeah.
So when you're on the field, do you just say, what's up, Doc?
Nah, I haven't pulled that card out yet. I've been thinking about it. I've been trying to figure out a good moment to say it, but I've never just had a good moment to say it, so I just never said it.
Maybe when you do it to the opposing NFL quarterback, you say, "Hey, what's up, Doc? I got the ball." But in all seriously, bro, for those people who are not familiar with you, man, just tell me about yourself, man.
Okay, well, my name's Kahzir Brown. I go by Bugs. I'm from Trenton, New Jersey. Born and raised, and I just turned 22 in January this year. I'm coming out in the 2025 draft this year. I play corner, safety, linebacker, whatever. I'm a versatile guy. That's pretty much it for right now.
Oh, very versatile for sure. Like you just said, you can play all the defensive secondaries, and that I think they even put you at linebacker in certain spots, right?
Yeah,
Oh, dude, that's even a plus, man. There's a lot of ways to use you out there.
yeah.
Yeah, dude. So as far as like meeting with other teams, has there been like other NFL teams you met before this interview?
Yeah. So I talked to the Raiders and the Bills at my pro day. I've talked before pro day. I've talked to the 49ers and the Eagles a lot. Um, and the Dolphins. Yeah,
Oh,
49ers, Eagles, and the Dolphins. And then I talked to the Bills and the Raiders on pro day. And then not too long ago, my trainer talked to the Carolina Panthers about me. And I know he said the Ravens and the Green Bay Packers reached out to him to, me talk about me a little bit.
I can see. I
Oh,
can
and the
see.
Jets, and the Jets as well.
Yeah, I can see why those teams would be interested in you, especially Pete Carroll, because coming from the Raiders, he wants that big secondary guy, and you kind of fit the mold. And then you look at the Niners; they've been kind of going with those big, lengthy guys also in the past. Like you look at the Richard Shermans of the world, and
Hmm.
then you look at the Jets. I think they're trying to go that route too. Then the Carolina Panthers, I think they just want anybody that can help them in any other way, you know.
Hmm.
But hey, at least you got some interest, so you're like under the radar, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So, what makes you like? Why should NFL teams draft you, man?
I'm a guy that can take up like 6 spots on the field. That's more than a lot of guys. A lot of guys are one position guys, sticking to one spot. I'm so versatile. You could throw me any and everywhere. I could play first through fourth down. There's no down I can't play. You can put me at linebacker. I have a mismatch on the running back. So now he thinks he's getting guarded by a linebacker. He's guarding somebody that really guards people. So I could take away the running back routes. I'm just versatile. Like you just can't teach that. Like you can't put somebody in that's never played everywhere and put him everywhere, it's just not gonna work. I'm a guy that's a hard nosed guy. I'm a dog. I grind. I do any and everything. I'm willing to do any and everything for a team that's willing to take a chance on me. I feel like my versatility is just something alone. I'm 225 and I run a 4.3 as well. So it's like you can't teach these things. You can't. I mean, just I want it bad. I'm gonna do everything in my power. And I mean, like a lot of people, like I can't go into the league saying, "Oh, I'm good for right now and be comfortable," because what I mean. If I don't get drafted, I'm an undrafted guy. I got to be that dog. I got to be the one on the team. Everybody be like, "Yo, he goes hard every day. He's crazy." I got to be one of those guys if I don't get drafted. So and I've never got complacent. I always want to do better. I always want to be the top guy. When I get into a team, a program, a culture, I'm gonna go and try to take somebody's job. That's my mindset going into it. I'm not gonna be a guy that all right. I got a couple years. No, I want that spot right then, right there. So when I come in, I'm gonna grind. You're gonna get a guy that's a dog. He's just gonna do everything. He gonna be the hustle guy. He gonna do everything that people don't want to do, and that's the type of guy I am.
Yeah, like, see, this is the kind of attitude I like, man. You're not coming here to be friends with everybody. You're here to take a job and just prove otherwise. So, I mean, what other positions can you play, man? Because you just said you could play anywhere in the secondary. You can play linebacker, be on special teams. It seems like there's a lot of ways they can play you around. And plus, like you said, you're 6'3", around 225, running 4'3", man. What else can you not do, bro? Like you
How about,
do
yeah.
everything.
I'm about to say, like, if you look at the numbers for linebackers and safeties, I'm a top five, top 10 guy in every category. If you look at my numbers from pro day, so you can't say I don't have potential or I can't play in the league because if you look at the top guys in this year's draft class, I'm right up there with those guys, top 10, top five guys. So you can't say I'm not an athlete. I can't do this. I've improved everything on my pro day. There's nothing you can say about me say that I can't do it. You turn on the film, I make miraculous plays. I make good plays. I make effort plays. I make plays. So you can't say I can't do something. You can't say I can't play in this league because I work hard and the film shows it. And then pro day numbers show it. If you don't want to look at the numbers, you could just turn on the film. The film speak it. I've been doing this for 4 years
Yeah.
straight. You know what I mean? Started since a freshman. Not to brag, but I started since a freshman. And I kept that going throughout my whole career. I've always been a hard worker. So you can't say I can't play in this league. This league about being a hard worker. I'm one of those guys.
Yeah. You went the hard way. So you went to a small college in Maine. So what led you to go to Maine before you had any other offers come out of high school?
COVID, which was a road bump for me. Recruiting was real slim. Like if he wasn't a guy that already had offers before COVID hit, he wasn't really gonna get one. I tried talking to the big schools and everything like that, but it just would never work because they couldn't come see me. I couldn't come see them, and so it was just a time where it was rough. But Maine reached out to me. They were like, "Hey, I want you to come play for us." And then the next day I got LIU, and I thought the offers was going to roll in, but they didn't roll in at all. I just stayed with those two, and I was like, all right, weighing my options. I was talking to my mom about it. I'm like, all right, like, LIU is, close to home. I don't want to be too close. And then, I was like, I mean, Maine is different. Never even heard of Maine until they reached out to me. So I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna take my time as the man. It's far. I can grow as a person. I can grow as a player, and just build character and build traits that I need to help myself become a good man. So I say, you know what, I'm gonna take my time as the man, and so I committed to Maine and ended up going to Maine.
Yeah, pretty interesting program. I mean, to say the least. I mean, like the competition, like you said, it's just like you showcase everything from there, and the environment must be a lot different from going from New Jersey all the way to Maine, huh? So, what's the difference from going over there?
It's really more slow paced, like because I live in a city, and then up in Maine, it's kind of like in the middle of nowhere, like real secluded in its own little area. But there were really good people there. I love my time at Maine. Maine was definitely a great place. Maine is the reason why I'm in the position I'm in. Without Maine, I wouldn't know where I'd be, 'cause that's where I started at. That's where I started to blossom and grow, make a name for myself. And so, I appreciate Maine a lot, especially to the coaches that recruited me, and actually all the staffs I had. Probably had like three different staffs, two different staffs. So shout out to those guys. Without them, I'm not the guy I am right now.
Yeah, you got your opportunity from that college, and then it got you to go to Florida Atlantic. But what was it like just to go against Montego Moss, man? This guy, I think he's a sleeper coming into the draft. I think nobody gives him enough recognition because of the name itself.
We had so many good days, man. Just back and forth. Making plays on each other is really a dream. Is that it's like going against your best friend. All your moves. They know all your strategies. Is just about just wanting it and just trying to beat him. That's all it is. And just going at it. One on one. Team settings and one on one settings. Just going at it all the time. He really helped me progress as a player, as a DB for because he has hands like his hands are like crazy. I think he has the best hands in the draft. Like he doesn't drop anything. Literally, like anything that touches his hands is gonna stick. One hand, two hands, like it's literally insane how he can catch the ball. His catch race is good too, and so just with him is just really just being scrappy because you just got to be scrappy with him because if not, he's just gonna catch the ball. He's a guy that really pushed me a lot to be a good receiver. And, just he's definitely one of
Yeah.
those guys.
Yeah, I've kind of watched a lot of his little film, and I'm like, damn, I guess maybe that's why because he went to a small college, and maybe that's
Yeah.
why they're not looking at him that way. But like I looked at a couple of interviews, he said he just wants to do his own legacy where he can prove himself without being under the name of his dad.
Yeah, he's a good dude. We never, he told us like he doesn't like that, so we never put him in the spotlight as that. We let him make his own legacy, and he
Yeah.
took that and ran with it. He's doing everything he needs to do. I just feel like he just needs that chance, and I feel like he's gonna get it. But he's definitely a receiver that's really really slept on. I think he's one of the better receivers in the draft. If you're talking about hands, being able to catch the ball, he may not be the fastest, but he
You can
makes up
make
for that
plays,
with
man.
he makes up for it with his speed, his athleticism. Like he's hurdling guys now. Like I mean, he used to be way heavier too. Like nobody knows the stuff he was doing. He was heavy. He was like 220, two
220
fifteen.
runs a 4.42 or something.
You know what I mean? So, but he slimmed down. He slimmed down. He looks good. He's been working. So I mean, he just needs a shot, and I know he'll get it, and I know he'll capitalize on it. He's a good receiver.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that definitely helped you along the way. So going to Florida Atlantic, man, what was the challenge like just to go over there?
Really, just the intensity of everything, and also just the heat. That was definitely something I had to get adjusted to. The heat was definitely my biggest thing. It's just the air is so thick, it's always hot, so you gotta make sure you're drinking a lot of water, you make sure you're not cramping, just taking care of your body and stuff like that. But definitely intensity, down south, they really take football serious. So, the way they care about it, the way they approach it, is very different. So I had to get used to that because everything's real intense, everything is real focused. Like football is definitely important, and that was something I had to get used to because up north football is not that big of a deal, basketball, baseball, things like that, But when you go down, when I went down south to Florida, it was like, oh, like they take this serious, and which I loved because at that point it made me fall in love with everything. It made me really like, all right, I gotta perfect my craft, So it'll be nights where I'd be up, I mean, late working on my craft, bringing the young guys along, watching film late at night, to get a jump on practice the next day, I mean, just reading. I mean, watching film for my keys and what guys do, so I can, I mean, get tips and tricks, and I can just, I mean, make plays. It definitely was a space that put me in a football space and environment to where it was 24/7, and it just helped me grow and learn as a player.
Yeah, it's definitely helped you because you went from a small school and then you eventually went to a pretty solid big program. It's like it's bigger than what you get from Maine compare, but at least you got a big exposure to compete against some of the best out there.
Yeah.
So, like, so outside of football, who are you as a person, man?
I'm a chill dude. I'm real laid back, but I like to goof and joke around and stuff like that. But recently, well, not even recently, but I've always been into mental health, get my mental right. And then I've been through some stuff, so I've been through a lot of traumas and things like that. So I read books and everything just to get what I mean, my mental health and stuff good. Just help build habits that what I mean, and make me a better person at the end of the day. Being in my Bible and everything like that. But recently, I've been into mental health for like the last couple years, for like last 2 years. And it's been really good. I have my own journal out, my own guided journal. I have that out for anybody. It doesn't even matter the age for real. What I mean, it's just something for people who aren't the type to go up to somebody and say, "Hey, I need help. I'm not okay. I need to talk." And so I'm a guy like that. I don't. What I mean, go up to people like, "Hey, I need to talk. I'm not feeling good because of this." I'm a guy that's real reserved, and so I just keep things to myself. For people, it's for people who's really fighting those inner demons that they don't talk about. And I got my own journal out. It's called Guys Journal too. I mean, just to support the guys, but girls can use it too. It's not just for guys. But it's just guided. I ask you questions like, why are you feeling this way? How do you feel? What are steps and goals you think you could take to help you feel better and things like that? It's just something small, but it definitely helps for people who aren't able to relieve themselves from their emotions and everything by speaking, so they can have a outlet, which is writing. It just helps kids grow, helps adults grow as well. Just be emotionally intelligent, and just I mean, just be able to understand your emotions and things like that. And so yeah, I've been doing that, but I really think that was something that I found was like really my purpose, impacting kids, impacting adults, just being very influential on them and telling them how important things are. Life is important, and so and I always tell people it's better with you in it. You're here for a reason. God put you on this earth for a reason. So mental health is definitely something I've been into really lately. I like to play the game too. Just all of the basic stuff for real. I don't do too much. I'm just a chill guy for real.
I mean, that's a good way to put it, but the way you kind of put it, man, I kind of feel like we can relate to that kind of situation, man. Somebody who can speak for somebody who's got mental health and all the other stuff that people need help on, because honestly, it's other days are not promising for these people because some people don't understand how some of them go through stuff, you know.
Yeah,
It's like people kind of take a joke out of these people, and I don't understand why people don't even take it very seriously with these people. Like sometimes people just think it's a joke, and then somehow the next day or weeks go by, they're gone because they never cared to ask them what's going on instead of making jokes. You know what I mean?
yeah. It's just I've been in that position before. Walking around feeling so heavy, but got my mask on to like I'm great. Still cracking jokes, still trying to be myself. But at the end of the day, I'm fighting these demons that I can't even speak of, and I can't even get them off my shoulders. That no one will understand because they haven't been through what I've been through. And that's really the thing that's really hard because you can try to talk to somebody, but if they've never been through what you've been through, it's hard for them to relate or give you any advice. So for me personally, going through things I've gone through, I look at it as like, all right, like I can talk to someone. Yes, I'm not the person to just jump out and do it, but I can. But it's like I'm talking to you, but what am I getting from talking to you? You haven't been through what I've been through. What I mean, the challenges I've been through, you probably have never been through. So now it's like, all right, I tell you these things. You know my business and everything. How are you gonna help me? You know what I mean? And some people use information against people. And, I just don't want that. I never wanted that to be me. So I just turned to writing it down. And I think that was the best way because it's mine. Nobody else reads it. I'm the only one that read it. I just keep it to myself, and I feel like, that really helps. Just be able to like let it out. Like people don't have to know it, but letting it out and letting it off your shoulders is probably the
It
most
takes the
important thing.
pressure off of you in
Yeah,
a way. I mean,
and
because some people are just not open about it because they feel embarrassed that somehow they're just going to laugh at it, or they're just going to really not like take it seriously with them. But if you're open about it, you'd be surprised how people can applaud that and give you that respect you deserve and say, you know what, if you ever needed help, let me know.
yeah, and
And
it
there's
was
people
it's
that do
tough.
care. It's just nobody just tends to like go through that route. So I kind of do have a special place for people with mental health because I feel like those people are the ones that gone through a lot. So I wouldn't know what it's like to be on your shoes because I haven't been on your shoes, but I've been through different shoes where I've actually had to deal with some demons of myself in the past where it was depressing and tough times, but I had to find a way to hang myself in and just stay strong and have a reason to live and just keep on pushing on this dream. I wouldn't be in this platform if it wasn't for a lot of people supporting me. So I see where you're coming from, but in a different way, you're actually living out a dream.
Yeah. No, it definitely is definitely good because, and I feel like the only reason people don't, can't really talk to people about it, or people approach and ask people because they're scared of the conversation. Like it's definitely a tough conversation to have. Like, hey, are you okay? No, I'm not okay. I'm going through this, and I just feel like I'm ready to let all of it go. Like that's an awkward and very strong tension conversation to have, and some people just aren't, up for the task to talk about it, and so, but growing, reading my books, learning different strategies to cope, and just learning how to talk to people who aren't feeling too well, that definitely led me to making my journal, and it was great. I had my first meet and greet down in Florida, at the Boys and Girls Club, and Delray. It was amazing, you know. I took them through an exercise. It was like, how are you feeling? And then they reflected on it a little bit. It was definitely amazing. It definitely touched my heart. It's definitely love for the Boys and Girls Club of Delray. It just touched my heart because they were doing it, and some of them were scared to express what they really wrote, but some of them definitely stepped up to the plate. They were really brave, really strong, and I definitely appreciated them. They were like probably 13, 12, around that age, and it was definitely good to see, them be brave and say, "Hey, I'm not okay. This is why." It was definitely a really good thing, and I loved it.
Yeah. See, I feel like if you can make a difference like that, it can make a huge difference for their life because some people just go through the suicide and it's just it's at a very all time high rate that people don't even notice about. But we can go on with that as much as we want, but we're gonna go with more on so as far as like rapid fire, we're gonna go with some interesting questions and common sense and all that stuff.
Okay,
So let's say we go on a cheat diet, you know. Let's say in the middle of nowhere, all you have is McDonald's and Burger King. What would you choose?
McDonald's for sure. I've never had Burger King. McDonald's for sure.
Man, Burger King, bro, and Charbroils are pretty good, but McDonald's you can't go wrong. It's like the
Yeah.
McMuffins and nuggets and all that stuff. But I always like the McFlurries. I ain't gonna lie though.
I've probably had like one McFlurry, two McFlurries in my lifetime for real. I haven't really been a McFlurry guy, but I was a snack wrap guy for the longest until they went out. But I know they're coming back. I was a snack wrap guy. McChickens, you can never go wrong with a McChicken. You know what I mean? A good fry and cookies for real. That's all I love.
Yeah, you just yeah, you got to balance the diet when it comes on the football field. Like they've been like them strict diets are crazy with those how the coaches are. So how do you balance your diet from how the coaches want you to be in shape?
Um. Well, being in that school, they feed you. So, the coaches don't mind you eating what they feed you, so they feed you food and you eat that. Coaches just want to make sure you eat. In my situation, I just want to make sure you eat. And I was a kind of maintain weight guy because I was already kind of heavy going in there. So they want me to maintain weight, and then at some point they wanted me to just lose a couple pounds, but just really watching what I eat, trying to be mindful of, what I mean, what my coaches want from me, doing my best to, make everybody happy and being happy with myself too, because that's the most important thing, being happy with yourself. You can try to make everybody happy, but finding out what was best for me, what best was my best weight to play at, how did I feel, and everything like that. It was just balancing that, but just watching what I ate. What I mean, not taking the junky food all the time. But all right, let me eat this instead. What I mean, I want a brownie or a cookie. Let me go get what I mean, some fruit this time. I'll get some fruit this time, and then the next time I'll get that, and the next two times I'll get fruit. What I mean, just kind of. What I mean, just watching and being mindful, but all right, this time no, next time maybe, just being mindful and watching that and
Little by
stuff like
little.
that. Talking to my nutritionist, she was definitely a big help, because I'm not really I was never really a guy that was like unhealthy, but like I would eat, what I mean, McDonald's, I mean, cheesesteaks, fries, stuff like that. So,
Yeah, it's kind
you
of
know,
something that you have to cut off a little bit when you're on a certain type of level. But yeah, I get it. You know, sometimes you might have to sacrifice a little bit
yeah,
just to be at what you're at.
yeah.
So as far as like game consoles, what game would you play, like Xbox or PlayStation?
I got a PlayStation, PS5.
Okay, so between a video game, Madden or the new NCAA?
NCAA, man, it's terrible now. It's just not good no more. Madden used to be great. I used to love
It used
Madden.
to.
But NCAA has definitely taken over, and I definitely like to play that more. I don't even have Madden on my console. I just got NCAA.
Yeah, I mean the old NCAA when they first got that one a while back, I missed those kind of games. But
Oh
then
yeah,
they brought it back, and I'm like, damn man, I should have got a chance to get it on my Xbox.
yeah. No, it's definitely fun. Especially I mean, me being in the game is like I'm in a game. Like that's just a
Yeah,
dream.
you are.
Everybody dreams of being in a game, and I'm in a game. And I can brag on that for the rest of my life. Definitely very eye opening. It's definitely amazing to know like I'm in a game. It's
Yeah,
definitely a dream.
it has to be like. See, I can see why you go with NCAA because you're on the game, and plus you can play so many options with all those other schools and all that. So
Yeah,
I mean, NCAA's always been a fun video game to play, if I'm being honest. But for that many years, they finally brought it back. I was like, man, finally. It's like, man, I miss those type of days when they used to have it like that. But now, like you said, Madden's just not the same as it used to be,
yeah.
and a lot of that stuff. So, as far as like, so as far as like a budget, okay. So like, let's say you go to Target or Walmart, which one would you prefer?
Walmart. I
Well,
love
prices,
Target. Don't get
yeah.
me wrong, but Target's very expensive. You'll come out of there, what I mean, with not too much stuff and spend like $200. You go to Walmart and get the same stuff, you probably spending $80 at the max for real.
Yeah, Walmart's a little more of a cheap deal compared to Target, but Target, don't get me wrong, it's nice too. But
Yeah.
like you said, you get better prices at Walmart at times, and it's always been the best place to go at times. Okay, so as far as like another cheap diet, as far as soda, who would you pick between Coke or Pepsi?
I don't drink soda.
What?
I don't drink soda.
Okay, then I guess if you don't drink soda, then I guess that's good for your health because at least you can at least try to like have some more stamina, because usually drinking a lot of the soda just takes away the energy mostly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I stopped drinking soda at like what, like 12 maybe. I don't know. I just stopped drinking soda, but I love juice and stuff like that though. But I really just been on water. Honestly, the past the past couple of months. Especially pro day training and everything like that. Real strict diet, real meal plan, meal
So as
prep.
far as like a sports drink, I guess if you had to choose between Gatorade or Powerade, which one would it be?
Gatorade. It got more flavors. Powerade got like four flavors.
Yeah,
I'm definitely going with Gatorade.
Gatorade, you can't go wrong. Even the Propels are best too.
Yeah, I've had Propel. Propel is not bad. I enjoy Propel. It's not bad.
Yeah. Like as far as like replacement drinks for sodas, usually those sparkling water flavors are usually like the best ones. They're like the ones that are less effective, the ones I drink.
No, I haven't really had sparkling water for
No, it's kind of like drinking soda, but it's less sugar. It's
sugar.
just
Yeah.
natural, organic stuff, but
Okay.
it's a little more healthier.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to learn how to cut down on certain stuff so I could be at better health because I'm not even getting near the sodas anymore, man. I'm cutting it off.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you joined that. I mean, just being mindful of everything. That's good.
Yeah, been drinking more water than usual because I had to make sure to balance it the way I used to be. So, but everybody has to balance on everything to live a good life. So, okay, so for those years in college, from from all that matchup, from playing from Maine and all that, what do you take from that you can improve on going into the NFL?
Um, Film study. Um, I watch film. I'm a film junkie. I can sit and watch film for like an hour, 2, 3 hours. But just knowing what to watch and how to watch it and how to break it down. Everybody has a different way of breaking it down, but I need a really good, effective way to help me play fast. I break a lot of things down, but it's just so much going on in my mind in the game that I start to hesitate because I'm thinking too much. But definitely breaking down the film in a more effective way that's not too long. What I mean, not too dragging, not too much information, but good enough for me to understand the game plan, know what the other team is doing, and be able to play fast. That's definitely something I wanna work on. My coach at FAU, Brandon Harris, he's had Ed Reed to teach him how to watch film. He said that was probably the best thing that he could have ever done. That's what helped him last so long in the league, just know how to watch film, breaking it down and be able to play fast on the field. And so, just finding somebody on my team or a mentor in the league, just to get with them and be like, all right, hey, let's sit down. How do you break down film? What's a way for me to be able to break it down and be able to understand it, but also be able to play fast and it not make too much in my brain.
Okay, so the more you study the film, you feel like you'll get better at the next level.
Yeah, because it's all mental at that point. The league isn't because everybody's good. Now it's about who's the smartest, and that's why those
The
teams
wisest, yeah.
who go to the playoffs and go to the Super Bowls, those are just the smartest teams. They make adjustments when they're supposed to. They're running the position players they're supposed to run at certain times. It's really just 90% mental at the end of the day when it comes to the league.
Yeah, absolutely, man. See, now I can see where you're coming from because you want to at least get ahead of the game. But when did you feel going to college that the game got slower for you?
When you watching film and you seeing what's going on and you just understanding this game, like the things really start to slow down. But also when you understand your own defense, when you understand defense, you know where you need to be, you know who's gonna be where or where they need to be, and it helps you slow things down because now, let's say right, I'm in the cover two. I'm a flat player. I have a hook curl player next to me, and I have a deep half player. I know I have to protect that whole shot. So you sit there, and then depending on the route combinations, let's say they run a smash concept on my side. You know, obviously, eyes on two. Two starts to go vertical. I glance at one. He sits down. All right, I know to slowing it down. I know I have to make sure I protect that whole shot. But if he runs a corner, so it's just reading. Okay, understanding and seeing everything. My linebacker got that hook curl. He runs a curl. Okay. So I don't have to sit there and get ready to break. Just relax, be patient. If he starts to keep going vertical, I just keep getting depth. Because it's too if too vertical, I'm vertical. So I mean just hinge. and then just making it tough for the quarterback to put it in there, so he can float it over top for my safety, or if he throws it to the curl, just break down, play fast, and just make a tackle or make a play on the balls. But it's really just knowing where people are supposed to be, understanding concepts and everything like that, because that's when the game really slows down. Because now it's like, all right, I know what they're gonna do in certain situations. Now it's just me waiting on it, making the most of my opportunity.
Yeah. You got to make the most of your opportunity. So, what kind of defense did you play from Florida Atlantic that can translate to the next level?
We played match quarters. I played that at Maine too. The defense was the same at FAU and Maine. It's match quarters, real man to man. It's really just like man to man the whole game. But I understand quarters, I understand the palms, the palms calls and things like that. So just understanding a cover four match team defense, that's definitely something I could take to the league. And I mean, switching terminology. When you go from different schools, they have different terminologies and things like that. And so obviously, me transferring, I understand like, okay, the terminology is where I need to put my most effort at, because learning the playbook isn't hard. That's probably the easiest part. Is just understanding the terminology and the things that you need to say, so everybody's speaking the same language. That's where most teams have problems, that everybody speaks the same language. And so taking the skill of going from one team to another, being able to speak the same language and be able to understand the playbook really fast and checks and things like that. That's definitely something I could take to the league, because once I get there, it's like, all right, I know I need to learn the playbook. Once I learn the playbook, terminology comes, and then once that happens, you just start to play fast, and just then it's just really getting comfortable at that point. You know the defense, you know everything going on, so now it's just you getting comfortable.
Yeah, I can see why you would be a great fit from NFL teams in general. I think they look at you more as that big size DB, huh?
Yeah, most of them are talking safety. Corner, I don't think I'll be playing corner in the league. It's just my size, my stature is just it's just not something the league wants, and I'm fine with that. So safety. I can control a room, not even like control, because we're all grown ups and adults, but being able to take control, like as a leader, be able to lead a secondary, making sure everybody got the calls, me taking time to sit down with other people and making sure everybody's on the same page when it comes to certain formations and reads, like what are your reads, what are your checks, what are you looking at, things like that, and be able to take a leadership role, and just making sure everybody's on the same page.
Oh yeah, I can see why you would be a good fit at safety. Like when I think of safeties of your size, I think of Cam Chancellor. He's just a big physical safety.
So that's my favorite player, ever,
Oh, so
Cam
that's who you
Chancellor.
model your game after?
Yeah, I love Cam. I don't have the power he has when he hits, but
Oh, he is.
yeah. So, but I take the game. Like, he's a very smart player. He was used everywhere. He was used as a linebacker, used as a safety. I mean, used as a star, used as a Sam linebacker. So, and that's how I modeled my game. Playing these different roles, playing these different spots is like, it's hard to take a playmaker off the field. And so he can guard, he can hit, he can run. Being that big and at that size, it's hard to really get that. I mean, not everybody's blessed with the height, but not everybody's blessed with the speed either. So to be able to have everything and just be a freak of nature, that's just someone I model my game after.
Yeah, you got God's given ability, the size and everything, the speed and all that. I mean, what else can they not like about you? I mean, you kind of seem to fit the prototype mold for some people prefer the big size safeties or at least one of those like those modern day linebackers who can cover, like you said,
Mhm.
they see you more as a safety and a linebacker. So I think you would have a better chance at either spots.
Yeah.
So how do the 49ers look at you as when they were working you out? What do they like you mostly as? Linebacker or safety?
We talked on the phone. They weren't at pro day or anything like that. So, but we talked on the phone. They talked to me, saying, "Hey, we see you as a safety." But I also told them I play linebacker as well. Just to let them know, like, I have versatility, so it's not just a one stop shop for me. You need me at linebacker, boom. What I mean, if you need me at safety for a second down, drop down linebacker for third or fourth down, I can do that. I'm your guy. You know what I mean? And so but they see me as safety, but I let them know, like, I could play linebacker too. You know what I mean? I'm a guy that can be in multiple positions. Just being a Swiss Army knife in the league. And that's probably my biggest asset. So just let them know that. But they see me as a safety, which I'm not mad at, because I still love to catch interceptions and things like that. So.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with either choice. But if I'm being honest, maybe they might look at you as linebacker because they do like those safety backgrounds and all that stuff for linebackers. And plus, your coverage would be translating pretty well. But if they see you more as a safety, then that speaks a lot about your talent right there.
Yeah, yeah, but I'm not mad. They've been making some moves in the offseason. Some guys have left. Some guys are still there. So what I mean, it's
Yeah.
definitely some spots open. If I go there, but it would be a blessing if I did. But because my brother's there, but it'll definitely be a great opportunity.
Oh yeah, be a great opportunity wherever you go. But is there like a favorite team you grew up watching that you love
Oh,
playing for?
Pittsburgh. I'm a Steelers fan. I've been a
Oh,
Steelers fan my whole life. I love Pittsburgh.
oh, okay, you're a Pittsburgh fan, so you
Yeah.
you you definitely watched the likes of Troy Polamalu and quite a few other guys, and
The
watch a
steel
little bit of Mika
curtain.
Fitzpatrick.
The steel curtain. Ryan Clark, Troy Polamalu. Yeah, we James
Oh
Harrison.
yeah,
Yeah,
we got
James
Ryan
Harrison.
Clark and
Yeah,
all those other guys, man.
yeah,
All those guys who do the dirty work and play
yeah.
the physical
They were
style.
they're
That's an
grinders.
organization that I can respect, man. They
Yeah,
play it the right way.
yeah. The smart guys, the grinders, the hard nosed guys is just doing the dirty work. Ryan Clark, Troy Polamalu, doing the extra. That's who those guys I grew up watching.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So what would you learn from guys like that from Pittsburgh if you had a chance? Like let's say you go to the NFL, which I believe you will. What would you get from Mika Fitzpatrick?
I don't know. I can tell. Like, well, look, I feel like Minka's more of an exemplary leader. He leads by example. He doesn't talk much. You know what I mean? But when he speaks, he's heard because he doesn't speak much. As a leader, there's everybody's not a vocal leader. Me personally, I don't like to scream and yell. I feel like that doesn't really serve a purpose. So I'm an exemplary leader. Show by example, doing the right things, and going to the training room, going to the meeting room, watch extra film, things like that. But I'll think I'll learn a lot of knowledge from Mika, especially him going to one of the best colleges in the world, Alabama. He has the knowledge, the IQ, the tips and hacks on how to be a great safety in the league. He's a guy that's thriving. What I mean, still doing well. And so I feel like I learn a lot, especially about the small things, because in the league it's very about it's about the small, minute details. And so, talking with Minka, I will probably learn a ton, especially because I know he probably had a great mentor going into the league. He's probably talked to Troy Polamalu. He's probably talked to Ryan Clark just because of he's a Pittsburgh Steeler. So, just I probably will learn so much.
Yeah, I mean, you would definitely learn a lot from Brian Clark if he reached out to you in some ways.
Yeah.
I mean, you can learn a lot from a lot of those pros, but let's get on to the common sense, as far as like all this stuff. So, how do you deal with a quitter on the football field just in the middle of the game? You guys have a chance to win, and this guy refuses to go out there just for selfish reasons. How do you deal with that circumstances?
In the moment, it'll be frustrating, but like he doesn't want to go out there, like you can't be the dead horse. I mean, next guy up, coach and making sure the next guy knows what he's doing right before we go out there. Trying to give him as much information as possible, but don't overload him to where he's overthinking and hesitating and not playing fast. And because at the end of the day, like he's no longer with us anymore. He doesn't want to play. He's not here. Why even try to force him to get back on track when there's a guy that's behind him that's hungry that's waiting for this opportunity and has been doing everything he can to get noticed, and his time's up, so his time is here. So why not go to that guy, make sure he knows everything, making sure he's on top of everything, and just making sure he's into the flow of the game and everything like that, because at the end of the day, that's the best option to do, because you fighting this guy to go out there. He has the power. What I mean, the guy next up, I'm ready. What,
Yeah,
what, what, do,
got
what
to
do I
give
need
the
to
next
do?
guy a chance. I mean, sometimes they're not even given the fair opportunity, but it takes one person that is injured or one person who just doesn't want to be here. It opens that door for the next guy. So, yeah, I like the way you kind of put it that way. So, how do you deal with something during the sidelines with your teammate? Like, let's say the communication in the secondary are just not on the same page and they're going through an altercation. I know it can be emotional, but how do you deal with that situation as a leader?
Um, you just grab both guys. I mean, at one point, I mean, you separate them, everything cool down, and you talk to those guys individually, understanding what's going on, understanding the situation, seeing both sides, and then you bring them together and make them understand, like, hey. he's saying this, you're saying this, but at the end of the day, is not that deep. You know what I mean? There's a check and call for everything. There's communication for everything. So grabbing both of those guys after they both calm down. They're clear headed. They're not in their emotions. They're being logical about everything and seeing on both sides and then coming up with a compromise and a solution together. So that way there's not no beef during the whole game. There's not no crazy drama during the whole game. Now everybody's calm, focused. Everybody has an understanding. Everybody's connected now because of we understood it, we went over the problem. We went over how to solve it. Now we can go back to playing ball and being a team. So I feel like handling that, just calming both of them down, then talking to them, seeing where what they're seeing what they're seeing, or seeing what's going on with them, what's going on with this person, then bring them together, seeing that, going over the problem, and then making a solution for it, so everybody's on the same page.
Okay, that's a good way to put it. I mean, at least you got them to be on the same page, and at least you can figure out some common ground to where it can be at a calm piece with them. Okay, so I guess three more last questions here, and then we'll go from there. Okay.
Okay.
So you guys are down by multiple touchdowns going into halftime. What would be the best pep talk to get this team to come from behind to win this ball game?
Best pep talk. Um. I don't know. I don't really think it's a pep talk. It's more so everybody has to reflect on what they're doing. It's and it don't even be like teams are just bad. It's just the small details nobody's paying attention to. That's why they're down by so many touchdowns. But it's really just having guys like look at themselves in the mirror, like, what are you doing? Are you being a guy that's trying to help, or are you being a guy that's just out there and just scoreboard watching? Because if you don't scoreboard watch, you end up being in a good game. Is really so just having every man search for their own soul, search for their pride, search for your why. Like you're getting paid millions of dollars. You just gonna come out here and just what I mean. It is what it is. We losing.
Yeah, I
Nah,
guess
like
you
I
just
feel
have to
like
let the play itself.
yeah, like you definitely say something to the guys like, hey man, like yo, like what are we here for? We're not here to just to mope around. Like we're here to win games. You know what I mean? Just trying to get the guys to just look within themselves and bring up that motivation, bring up that energy, and just bring out that grit and that hunger to just not lose in such a outstanding way. You just what I mean, it's never good to lose a close game, but what I mean, it's worse getting blown out. To me, I feel like it's worse getting blown out. That mean I just wasn't able to compete. That mean he's way better than me. I never feel like that. I always feel like I'm the best guy out there. So getting blown out is like I could just never compete. Why can't I compete? Am I not working hard enough? Is there something I'm not doing? Am I not watching enough film? And I mean something like that. I'd rather lose a close one than lose out by a blowout.
Definitely, man. I can see like if you're coming like in this type of situation, you don't want to question yourself in that other way. You want to be able to try to find a way to get better at the next two quarters. So it's not over to the fat lady sings like they say. So you
Hmm.
either want it or not. It's like, hey, we're not down. We may be down right now, but we can fight. And so okay, so as far as all that, man, what motivates you to be a better football player going forward, man?
Um, def definitely just the legacy I'm trying to build. Is just I want to be one of the best. It's just because just seeing the greats. Seeing them play, and then just watching how they built themselves up, made a name for themselves. Like I want to, like after I'm gone, after I'm dead and gone, I want people to be like, hey, that him back then, you know what I mean, in 2020s, 2030s, he was one of them dudes, you know what I mean? He was always flying around. I just want to be remembered, just building a legacy for myself. That's what really pushes me for real, just to keep getting better. But also my family, like they put a lot into me. They've been along on my journeys, all my ups and downs, they've been there. So, it's just really looking at them like, hey, like I'm doing this for you too, you've put so much into me, why not want to be the best? You know what I mean? Because I feel like it would be a waste if I'm just not trying to be the best. I'm just out here just doing it because I can. You know what I mean? Because I'm athletic enough to do it. No, like I really want to make a name for myself. I want to make my family proud. And, I've done that so far, and I want to continue to keep doing that. So I'm just gonna continue to keep, grinding, put my head down, and working.
Absolutely, man. So I guess one more last question from here. I'll give a shout out to Grandizer. That's the last one, and we're in for here. Why'd you pick number 11?
I didn't pick it. That was given to me. Because at FAU, number one is very special. They say it's the best player on the team and things like that. And so a lot of guys are in the running for it. My DB coach, he does the numbers, and so he gave me 11. He's like, why I gave he this is a random question one day. He's like, why I gave you 11? I said, no, I really don't. I don't mind it. It's not a bad number. He was like, because what I mean, you had one, and I just gave you an extra one. I mean, number one is definitely something everybody has to have meaning on it. I wasn't mad with it. Once I got it, I was like, okay, what I mean, number 11, smooth.
Go with the flow, like they say.
Yeah, like what I mean, it's just a number. At the end of the day, I'm gonna make the number. The number don't make me. I make the number. And, I feel like I put number 11 in a good space, and now it's handed down to G, who's a DN at FAU, and he's doing his thing with number 11 on right now. So it's just putting. I just put the number. I just feel like what I mean, just it's not the number, it's you. So
Yeah,
you can make the number good or you can make it bad. I just wanted to make it good. What I mean, just
yeah.
put follow number 11.
Makes a lot of sense why, because your DB coach gave you that. But does the moment feel surreal, or does it feel business as usual to you, man?
Uh, when when you talking about right now
Yeah,
or
like for the NFL moment, just for the fact that you're going to the NFL, does it feel surreal to you, or just business as usual?
it didn't hit me yet. Pro day was business as usual. I really wanted to show them like I'm a dude for real. Like I'm a dude. Even though was at FAU, I wasn't SEC, I wasn't in the ACC, I wasn't P5. I'm one of them dudes. I'm just a guy that just got skipped over. That's it. Point blank and simple. I was a guy that got skipped over. Am I happy about it? Yeah. It made me a grinder. It made me who I am. I don't know if I'd be the same if I had everything, if I had the 5 stars, if I had the 60 plus offers, if I had the P5 school, you know what I mean? So, and it made me who I am. And then I went to go train in the same, like in a rugged environment. We didn't have the nice equipment. We had 2 squat racks, a rack of dumbbells, and a leg press, and my pro day numbers were great just off of just those
Oh
couple
yeah,
machines alone. So just being a grinder, just being grimy, and staying in that environment, I feel like that's what really helped me. So, I'm not mad at my thing, but it hasn't hit me yet. It'll probably hit me once I get drafted. And that's the goal. Once I get drafted, it'll probably hit me. Or once I step in the building. And,
oh yeah,
once I step in the building, they can't take me out. I'm gonna do everything I can to stay
yeah.
there.
You come in with something to prove, and has any other NFL players reach out to you, like the ones that are giving you preparation, like maybe somebody like Jair Brown, who's from your city? Have you ever had any interaction with them?
Yeah, that's my brother. Jair is my big brother. Shout out to him. William Hackett. He played at Trenton High with me as well. But those two guys really helped me learn football because I got into football at 13. I was late in football. I got into football in the 8th grade, 7th grade. So I was late, but shout out to my brother Tig. He's definitely a guy that's been mentoring me. But Carrington Valentine, cornerback for Green Bay Packers. I've been talking to him, learning from him. Bryce Cosby, he was on the Raiders for 2 years, but now he's in CFL. And then rookie receiver Malachi Corley for the Jets. I've been talking to him too. He's been by my side a lot, because we train at the same gym. Me, Carrington, and Malachi. So we've been talking and rapping, and then I'm home now, so and, I just seen Jair today at the gym. We worked out together and everything like that. Chopped it up. What I mean, talking football, stuff like that. So those guys, those 4 or 5 guys, been there my whole life for real. I just met Malachi and Carrington, but they've been there, me teaching me the ropes. Bryce, he's been teaching me the ropes as well, even though he's not in the league no more. He's trying to get back, but he's in the CFL, still playing professional ball. You can always learn something from somebody still playing. So, those guys just been by my side, teaching me everything I need to know. Just putting me on game with everything, how things are ran. Because it's different. It's not like college; it's a business. You're at work at that point. But I try to soak up as much information as I can. Honestly, those guys been really helping me a lot, and shout out those guys. I appreciate y'all. It's definitely been good.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. So definitely appreciate your time, bro. I know that the process is worth for all those years in college, man. I know that all that hard work's going to pay off, and whatever team takes a chance on you, man, I'm definitely rooting for you to succeed. Whether you end up in San Francisco with your boy Jair Brown,
Yeah.
maybe we make a second appearance, and maybe we kind of sneak in Jair in the mix. We'll see. But man, dude, I'm hoping for the best for you, man. So for everybody else, man, tell everybody where they can find your social media platform, man.
My Instagram is underscore official dot bugs. The official is a zero. Zero FFICAL dot bugs underscores before the official. My Twitter is my name, Kahzir Brown, and that's really it. I only be on Instagram and Twitter.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. For everybody else, it's Kahzir Bugs Brown, man. Like, man, if he gets the ball, the quarterback's gonna be like, "Hey, what's up, Doc?" Yeah, you're a big DB, bro. You got what it takes to take it to the next level, bro. So I'm definitely rooting for you,
Thank
man.
you. I
Hopefully
appreciate
you
that.
have a great NFL career, and hopefully things work out for you. For everybody else, thank you guys for tuning in.